video?
You can if you want. You can keep it on, Emily. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining. Welcome to the beer tasting event with Advizex. We'll get started here around the top of the hour. So until then, sit back, relax. Hopefully your beer is on ice and ready to roll. Tori, if you want to go ahead and unmute everybody, that'd be fine. Good afternoon, everyone. We'll give a few more minutes, let people really start to roll in here. So we'll give a few more minutes and then we'll start some introductions and we'll get the beer tasting started.
Hello.
Hey, good afternoon, Jeff. How are you?
Afternoon, not bad.
Good. Everyone, you can feel free to unmute. We're just going to have a nice, lively conversation and hopefully have a little bit of fun today and learn a little bit about PowerStore at the same time. And when I do these, I like to have basically an open forum and just roll with it. So we'll give a few more minutes for everybody to roll in. So Jeff, where are you from, sir?
Canton, Ohio. Viking Forge is in Streetsboro.
Okay. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Give about another minute or so and we'll get rolling. Good afternoon, Pat. How are you, sir? Thanks for joining.
Good, thank you. I was going to ask, you're not going to ask me where I'm from?
I know where you're from, my boy.
Good deal, Jeremy.
Mr. Dinges, glad to have you.
Hey, Jeremy, glad to be here.
All right. Another minute or so and we'll get rolling. Start about 3 after, I guess. Mr. Adam, there are four. There are 4 beers to taste today.
Okay, one of the things that went out said 6.
Oops.
So what?
Well, so at least you get the equivalent of 6 beers.
There you go.
Hey,
Count the total ounces and you get 6 12-ounce beers. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Again, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jeremy Duffield with Advizex. I'm out of Columbus, Ohio. With us on the horn today, we have Jason Mayhew, who is also with Advizex. He will be our working the chat session and kind of help me out here today. And from Highwire Brewing out of Asheville, North Carolina, we have Emily O'Glenn.
Woohoo! Go NC.
Uh,
My family's from Burnsville, which is about 40 minutes north of Asheville.
Okay, very cool. I'm not sure how they're going to do in the tournament, but I'm a big UNC fan myself. So, however, I don't have them going all the way through the bracket. So for those of you that enjoyed St. Patty's Day, welcome to this morning. For those of you that are big basketball fans, we'll try to get this going so you can make the games this afternoon. So, Emily, I want to turn this over to you to do our first beer tasting.
Awesome. Well, if we were drinking along with me, we're going to be starting off with the Highwire Lager. I always like to, when I'm introducing Highwire or any new beers to anyone, is to start off with lagers. You can't hide anything in a lager. It is what it is. We're not hiding any off flavors with a bunch of hops or adjuncts. It is just a crisp, clean American lager. We actually lager ours for 7 weeks, which is about 2 or 3 weeks longer than a lot of the American breweries. And we do that in order to really form the clean finish that you expect out of a lager. Personally, this is my favorite beer that we make, only because it's just that classic style of beer that is unfortunately no longer as popular as IPAs or sours, even though I did bring that today as well. Just a little bit about Highwire. So we are about to celebrate April. However, we are just been and then we are a very taproom heavy brewery. So we actually have tap rooms, 2 in Asheville, 1 in Durham, 1 in Wilmington, North Carolina, 1 in Knoxville, and we're about to open up 1 in Louisville. So there are plenty of locations for you to come and visit us. We have plenty of taproom only specialty stuff that you can't miss out on. Is there any questions about the lager in particular? It's kind of a very, can't really question most of that for a lager. Or the lager, do you enjoy the styles more? Kind of want to open it up to just any beer questions. Okay, all right.
I'm looking
That's
forward to
really
the
all I got.
IPA.
Like I said, the lager is just, you can't hide anything in it. It is what it is.
It's the old
That's what
American
we do
standard.
with our lagering. Mm-hmm.
It's the old American standard. All right. Well, thank you very much, Emily. We appreciate it. So, guys, we're going to, little agenda here today is going to do a short PowerPoint presentation. Then we'll go back to Emily for beer number 2. Then we'll go straight into a demo for a little bit, back to beer number 3, and then finish up demo and come back for 4, and then finish it up with a little Cloud IQ demo. But the first thing I'd like to ask before I get started with the PowerPoint presentation is you can either put it in the chat session or just unmute and chat. But how many here on the call have heard of PowerStore before today?
Can you repeat what did you just ask? How many what?
How many of you have heard of PowerStore before today? Okay.
Just one of us, I guess.
Okay, so some of you have, and there's a few out there that haven't. So hopefully we can learn something today while we're enjoying a good beverage. So let me get this PowerPoint presentation fired up. All right, can everyone see my screen okay?
Looks good,
Yep.
Jeremy.
All right.
Looks good.
Yes.
All right, so let's go ahead and get rolling. So this is the PowerStore. PowerStore is one of the latest storage appliances that Dell EMC has brought out. It's kind of taken the best of Compellent, the best of Unity, and the best of Extreme IO, putting them together into one platform. And the really cool thing is that this is, excuse me, it's just kind of bringing the best of breed into a centralized appliance. So there's really 5 main models of PowerStore, starting with the PowerStore 1000, 3000, 5000, the 7000, and the 9000. And the really cool thing about this is really the only difference between the 5 models is the CPU and memory. Everything else remains the same, whether it's capacity, max drive, types of drives, everything is the same. If those are out there that remember Unity, each model type had different drive types, or not drive types, but drive counts as maximums. So here they're all the same. Now the cool thing is that you can scale up by adding up to 4 appliances in a cluster, and each appliance can actually have different number of enclosures. So the very first enclosure is what's called your base enclosure, and those are either NVMe or
I see him, Jeremy.
storage
Storage class memory.
class memory. Thank you very much. And the rest of them are SSD drives. Now the max you can have is 4 enclosures per appliance, for a total of 384 drives. Now the other cool thing is that you can mix and match PowerStores appliances within a cluster to basically segregate your applications. You can also easily move volumes around based on performance requirements, storage requirements, and things of that nature. Any questions so far? Moving a little bit fast here, I apologize. All right. So the really next cool thing is the deployment modes of PowerStore. There's two separate modes. So there's the T model, which stand for kind of your traditional model, which is your SAN and your NAS. And then you have the X model, which is where you can actually deploy ESX hypervisor directly onto the appliance itself. And I'll pause there if there's any questions. Okay.
Can you have more? I'm sorry. Can you have more than one? And I don't know if you would need more than one, but more than one X.
More than one appliance?
Yeah.
It all depends on what you need. If your requirement requires, bouncing them across, spreading them across two appliances in a cluster, yeah, you could. It just all depends on what the sizing comes back to.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. All right. So the one cool thing with PowerStore is just like Extreme IO, the inline data reduction is always on, and so future-proof guarantees, as long as the data is deduplicable and compressible, is 4-to-1. And depending on the data, you can actually see higher.
Jeremy, we're actually seeing 4.6 plus in the field with the, several thousand units that are up and running. So it's actually, we're going to be moving that 4.1 or 4-to-1 up a bit.
Sounds great. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Mm-hmm. I know that you guys have been seeing 4.5, but 4.6 is pretty cool. All right. So along with the PowerStore, the future-proof guarantees, as long as the data is reducible, is 4-to-1. You get a 3-year satisfaction guarantee, anytime upgrades, and make sure you talk with the account rep about flexible payment solutions. Definitely several different options there. All right, so what I wanted to do is dig in a little bit into the Anytime Upgrade program. There's two programs. One is Standard and the other one is Select. And so Standard means that you can, within, I think it's 180 days, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can go from under Standard, you can go to the next generation. So if you buy a 3000 Gen 1 and the 2 comes out, you can upgrade to the same model, different gen. And then the Select, you can go from next gen upgrade, or you can go to a next model up. So whether you have a 3000 to 5000, 5000 to a 7000, or if you don't want to go up, you can actually use it towards another appliance to expand your cluster.
So Jeremy, one of the things there on the Anytime Upgrade that might be important is after you've had the product for 6 months, you can do that upgrade anytime. So you can do it in month 7, month 8, year 1, year 2. You don't have to wait 3 or 4 years to exercise these options.
That's correct.
Like the only one the first one, you have to wait until there's a Gen 2 model available. But as soon as that product came out, as long as you're under support, you can do that upgrade at that point.
Correct.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Jason.
One of the other points is that you do not have to sign up for an additional 3 years of support. So it does not require you to kind of double up the amount of time. You can choose to, but you don't have to.
Right. You can continue with the same term that you had before.
Correct. You do not.
So, any questions on the short slide deck? So Emily, if you would like to come in and present the second beer option.
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to start next with this dark berry jam wow. So this is a 9% imperial dark ale with plum and cherries added. We actually added 15 pounds per barrel of these fruit to this beer. We always, when we have fruits added to beers, we always use the real thing. Never use fake parade, the real thing. And I think that when it comes to the balance between the beers of wanting the flavors to actually taste like the actual fruits, it's really important to do so and keep that commitment of not trying to cut corners. So as you're drinking this, obviously 9% for a 16-ounce can, it can be a little doozy. So either you're going to be helping your hangover or worsening it from St. Patrick's Day. But I get the plum, I get the cherry, I get almost like a dark winter spice added to this beer. And so whenever you drink it, it's going to be just a really a meld of really dark, jammy flavors that don't overwhelm one another. So personally for me, this is a sleeper. You have one or two, and then you realize, oh man, this is actually 9%. What do you think about it, Jeremy? Are you drinking along?
I'm seeing how, since I'm presenting, I probably don't need to do a 9% right now, but.
Probably not. That's probably a great idea.
This stuff will cause a hangover to begin with. Don't add alcohol to it.
That's right. You can't feel bad if you never stop drinking. That's the secret. So this is one of our series, the Jam Wow series that we are making, where we're just going to be taking this concept of an imperial ale with any kind of fruit added. So currently it's the plum and the cherry. So we're going to be doing mango, we're going to be doing pineapple, we're going to be doing every sort of combination of fruit that's out there. So I'm really excited about this series in particular.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. We got any questions over this beer or the flavor profile? All right. Keep chugging it.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Emily. We will continue on here with the demo as everybody's enjoying the second beer. And again, if anybody has any questions during the demo, feel free to unmute and we can chat as we go. There is no, everybody can unmute or whatever. So I will share my screen. All right. All right. So this is the PowerStore manager. And we can all pause for a moment to celebrate the HTML5 interface. All right. Very simple, actually very beautiful layout as far as the management and going around the environment. As you can see on the screen, it gives you a very quick overview of your appliances, how many, any alerts that you have going on, and kind of gives you a breakdown of your block file. Now, the one thing I would like to add is this is sitting in our lab. I'm running some, just some test data through it to give that it's working. But we don't really have anything major going on. We had just put it back into production for some testing that we have been doing. So the cool thing that they added here inside the PowerStore cluster is the watch list. The watch list is where you can select devices that you kind of really need to keep an eye on, whether that's a primary line of your application or whatever that you can put it right here. You can watch it and see what's going on at any point in time when you log in. The other area is of the overview is the alert section, and it will display any alerts from critical down to info right here on the main screen. And then also we have tabs for capacity and performance. And then capacity, it's just giving you what your current capacity is overall of the box, your historical usage, and how much you're currently using. And then down here at the bottom left, this is where we see our data reduction numbers, our savings from snap savings, thin savings, and then overall efficiency. And in the lower bottom, we can also see our top consumers, how much people are using and things of that nature. And then finally, over here on the dashboard screen, we have our performance view. Now performance, we can get our summary. We can drop down and we can look at bandwidth details, IOP details, latency, and IO size details. Now the workload that I'm running right now is a 70-30 workload, ranging from 4K to 64K workloads, just a good overall average. And then we can take a look at the last hour and last 24 hours. We can kind of go in and zoom in to an area. But what happens when we zoom in a little bit, it becomes a little bit of an average of an average. Got to be a little careful there, but it's good historical information, and we will kind of go into a little bit more performance analysis with Cloud IQ in our last session. So before I move on to the monitoring tab, is there any questions? Okay. All right, so monitoring tab is really just showing again, it's going into your alerts and any events that's going on. I'll give it a second here. I don't think we have any alerts right now. Any alerts that the system has had or anything of that nature. And then you can also look at any jobs that you've had running or have ran. The next is our compute section. This is where we kind of see our hosts that we have in the cluster. We can add host groups, we can add individual hosts, and we can go in and we can unmap devices or map devices. We can click on it and actually look into and see what ones or devices that are mapped through the system. And then here's a really nice, cool thing. This is kind of the virtual machines, and this is where vVols and things that come into play. If you do vVols, they will actually be listed here as your administrators are allocating out storage and such. The other thing is that you can directly connect your vCenter with VASA provider and things of that nature to be able to launch your vSphere to be able to go in and administrate your vSphere appliances. Any questions over monitoring or compute? All right, let's go into the storage tab. And storage is where we kind of see our volumes, where we can see both clones and normal volumes. And clones can be used to present to other hosts, where snapshots are kind of protection devices. We can go in here and click on one, and we can add it to the watch list, which goes back to that main page. We can map it. We can assign a protection policy for snaps and such. We can change the performance policy of the system, take it from medium to lower IO or higher, depending on the requirement. We can restore it from a snapshot. We can gather support materials on it. We can also create a thin clone or refresh the device from a a snapshot. We can also go in here and modify the device. Simply say, hey, I need it bigger. So I can increase the size. And now I'm at 20 gig versus the 10 gig. So very easy. We can also see that we can tell by which ones are mapped. We can sort by mappings or unmapped. We can also go in here and we can filter down by name, worldwide name, terabytes. Then we can also go in and add columns. Very friendly, very friendly and very user-friendly as far as being able to modify things the way you may need it. All right. Also under storage is your volume groups, where you can group volumes together, present them to a host or whatever so that they're all together. Same thing, you can go in and take a look at that volume group and get performance of the volume group, the capacity, any alerts, protection policies, and the members of that group. All right, storage container. This is kind of where your for those of us that come from the Unity background, that's really your storage pool for where you're building and carving storage out of and presenting them to host. But you can go into the cluster, into the storage container, and look and get information from capacity to volume groups or virtual volumes, VVols. And then also within this one, because it is a PowerStore 5000T, we can do native file systems, both SMB, NFS, and we can do multi-protocol and share out to both SMB and Unix-based servers. We can take a look at the file systems. We can also take a look at the NAS server that we have built here. And you can move the NAS server from whatever node you assigned it to another node. So let me pause here. Is there any questions or anything in the chat, Jason, that we should discuss?
I have a quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
When you were in the change performance policy,
Yes, sir.
What is it that happens on the array that makes it high performance compared to what it is?
Basically, if by default everything goes to medium, so everything has the same, call it QoS or whatever. And so when the array feels that it needs to give some, it's not overloaded, but it's busy, then that performance ranking will say, okay, we can slow this one down a little bit to give these a little bit more higher IO characteristics. And so you're basically giving a kind of a scale really of considering if you have Vmax or PowerMax. Remember back in the Vmax days where you had fast VP and it would just kind of move things up to extreme speeds to lower speeds as far as host IO goes. Does that make sense?
I believe so. Back in the old days, like you're talking about, things would get moved up into Flash.
Correct.
Well, today you're just talking, it's just QoS. It's not moving stuff around like it did in Flash or anything like that. Okay.
Nothing like that. Just kind of saying, hey, this can have a little bit more higher latency if we need to, or things of that nature, so that anything that's if I go in here and go in there, I can change the characteristic to say, hey, this can be a little bit slower. It doesn't have to be, I don't have to have it like right now.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. So under protection is where we can do replication and set up our replication pieces. And we've only got one, so I don't have any place to target it. But you do need a PowerStore to PowerStore for replication. And today you can do async replication. And if you need Metro capability, there's also a Metro node that's available, which is an external piece of equipment that will take care of the Metro requirements for you. And then in the remote system is where you would go in and add, much like, again, if you're Unity, where you just go in and you add the remote system by selecting the IP address of the management console. Same thing here. You select it, it finds it, and you can set up your replication policies. And finally here we have our protection policies, which is where we can make our snapshot and replication rules. So you can go in here and you can create a snapshot, and we can tell it that we can go from every 5 minutes up to 24 hours for snapshots. And you can set the time of day, and you can tell it, you know, hey, I want to keep these for 7 days, and it'll start rolling through. And then you can take, you know, what kind of snapshot type you want. And remember that snapshots are really read-only. They're there for protection and restore abilities. They are not, in order to present to a host, you need to do a clone. And then your replication rules. Again, you could select the existing, if we had another target, you could select one, you can select, and you can set your RPO from 5 minutes to up to 24 hours. And you can also set up alert for thresholds if it does not meet that RPO. And then again, you also have an option in here that if you haven't set up your target, that you can add, you can go to the wizard by simply going to the setup wizard for the remote site. And you can select, you know, by putting in the management IP, you can select your latency, and then the username and password for the remote site. Jason, you look busy over there, buddy.
I'm just responding to chats, buddy.
Anybody have any questions so far?
Yeah, there's a couple questions about the X model. Certainly some interest in, you know, kind of how that worked as far as the ESXi being loaded on the product. And yes, it definitely is. And the T model runs PowerStore OS on bare metal. The X model runs PowerStore OS on ESXi, reserving half the machine for the PowerStore OS and the other half of the hardware for your VMs that you bring to the system. So one of the things that that I've talked to several customers about that's really interesting is workloads, you know, specifically database workloads, where it's really important to have the storage real close to the compute environment. And then also even with potentially like Oracle workloads, where you may need to have the Oracle environment separate from the rest of your cluster. It's something that that we've talked to folks about to kind of control the licensing for Oracle, and then keep the data really close to that compute system. It's obviously in one box, and then it's kind of like a you know, all-in-one compute storage appliance. It's really, really cool from that perspective. It doesn't take 4 nodes like with HCI to do that. So.
Mike or Brian, is there anything you guys want to add to the X model?
No, I think Jason did a good job on that. There are some announcements coming in about a month with some expanded capabilities on the X model, so stay tuned for those. But like you said, it's great for some of those data heavy VMs that you might have, or especially at robo facilities where you don't want to deploy 3 or 4 HCI nodes. So great use case there for some of those subsets of VMs.
Right. We're seeing use cases, as Brian just mentioned. Robo is a great use case when you have a really heavy storage, like video surveillance, for example. You don't want to put a lot of VMs out. You don't need a lot of VMs. You just need a couple VMs to run the surveillance, but you need a ton of storage that grows. And to do it all in 2U is something that we see a lot of folks doing, or running a manufacturing application or two where it tends to collect a lot of data but not be super intensive compute.
Now, that is an important thing that Jason did say about the T model is that both the X is that with the X, the ESX gets 50% of the RAM and 50% of the processor, and the T has both storage and NAS, and so there isn't any proper English here, NAS capability on the X model, but you can use the Unity VSA in order to bring in NAS into that. Does that make sense?
Yes, and as Brian alluded to, there's a lot of things are changing. So on the drawing board, everything you mentioned is on the drawing board sooner than later that will be changing. And part of the reason that we can change things so quickly in the way is because the operating system that's running is built from the ground up with 3 years of R&D, in that it is a containerized operating system.
Yes, but the PowerStore OS is a containerized architecture, so things can be sped up and spun down pretty quickly. We'll take a break here and come back for the second part of the demo. I realize we're drinking 16-ounce beers, but I thought I'd bring Emily back to introduce beer number 3 as we go through, before we go through the migration piece of it, the hardware, and also the settings. So Emily, take it over.
All righty. We are going to have our third beer be the Mosaic IPA. So IPA stands for India Pale Ale, and what we've done with this beer is added Mosaic and Centennial hops to create the bitterness and the hop aroma when you crack open this beer. Mosaic is actually a really fun hop to brew with. It's actually a designer hop. So people have created this thing to have all sorts of different flavors associated with the Mosaic. You have citrus, you have pine, you have grapefruit, tangerine, and I'm sure other people, your palate can pick up a lot of different stuff. So it's about Mosaic and then 25% of Centennial. So the Centennial is going to add a little bit of the soft pine, a little bit more citrus to kind of just round everything out. So no one flavor should be like too much. Personally, I really like the grapefruit that I get from this beer. It is 6.7%, so pretty nice up there on the ABV of an IPA. For me, 0.7 is perfect for me. This is actually our #1 selling beer in 8 of the 9 states that we are in. So Georgia just really loves lager, which I can't fault them for. But the high pitch has grown to just be our workhorse. Like that's what really does it for us. And then something I forgot to mention. I don't know where everyone is based, but if you do have high wire in the state that you're in, both of these actually do come in 16-ounce 6-packs for the same price point as 12-ounce 6-packs. 2020 was rough on everybody, and we knew that people were going to be watching their wallets, but they were still going to be drinking. So we decided to kind of, take that and give back a little bit by having more beer for the same price. So the 16-ounce 6-packs have been super fun for us.
So 8 ounces of free beer?
Basically, yeah.
I like that.
You can't go wrong with that at all. It's for something like 6.7%, and it's a solid traditional American IPA. It's been rocking it out for us. Are you an IPA fan, Jeremy?
I can partake in an IDPA or two. It's not one that I enjoy drinking by the fire all night long, but I do enjoy them as a good social beers myself.
Absolutely. I mean, IPAs have just skyrocketed into the #1 beer style for basically on premise, bars, restaurants, whatever. Your #1 selling beer is going to be an IPA.
When I used to brew beer, home brewer myself, and grew my own hops and made my own IPAs, and if you like a good hop, they're a fantastic beer to enjoy.
Yeah. I know when I first started out in the beer industry about 7 years ago, I actually hated IPAs in general. I just could not stand them. And then but the more you drink them, the more your palate is just going to change with it. So it's a really interesting sort of situation.
It's an acquired taste.
It absolutely is. But now that it's acquired, I like IPAs and lagers, and those are my two go-tos.
Same way here. Very nice.
I have a question about the IPA, and you may have already said this or answered this, but do you anticipate that Highwire would do like a seasonal release or a yearly release of this type of IPA or other IPAs?
Yeah, so we actually have currently 3 IPAs that are year-round that we release, and this is one of them. So this is our year-round core product. We should always have it. We brew it, 365 days a year.
Are you guys thinking about doing like an over-hopped IPA, like Hop Slam or anything like that?
So we actually just released it, so I'm happy you asked that question. So it's our pitch. So we took the 6.7% and we were like, well, let's just add more alcohol to it. So we made a 9% version of the high pitch. And that's going to be can only because nobody needs that. And that's asking to cause a problem. So that'll be, and that's also going to be year round. So actually, I completely forgot about the double high pitch. So that means now we have 4 year-round IPAs. We have our high pitch, the double high pitch. We have our low pitch, which is a session hazy IPA. And then we have a double hazy hoppy fresh. So, out of all of our core brand IPAs is kind of like what you have to do nowadays.
All right, Emily, is that kind of like a single, double, or triple type?
Yes. So I would say pitch a 6.7 for single IPA. You add in some more hops and alcohol, 9% double IPA. You get into triple with your 10%, 11%. And if you are not an IPA drinker, if you are looking to get into IPAs, you should actually check out those higher alcohol versions, the 9%, 10%. As you add in more malt to get that alcohol level up, the beer actually becomes sweeter and so if you're not really a big hop fan, having that sweet and malty flavors will help you kind of get into the style a little bit more. And you get faster.
So if I wanted to find an IPA to drink or to exchange with my winter beer exchange for the Christmas holidays, what am I drinking from Highwire?
So we have a couple specialty series that was awesome. One is our Q40, which is our 8% stout. So it does pour like motor oil. And we do a bunch of stuff all the time where we take that, nice base stout, add chili peppers and cinnamon or chocolate and vanilla, coffee. We've done like a salted maple before. We've done a jelly donut before. And so it's those are always limited batches that we release into the public and just always fun to take for a bottle share or a Christmas gathering. We also have like specialty sours and one-offs that we release in like 750 milliliter bombers. And those are also great because you pop it like champagne. It's really, you know, you usually have to travel to Asheville to get, but you can actually go to highwirebrewing.com and we can ship it to you. So if you're wanting to get one of these like specialty batches or 750 milliliter bombers of stuff that does not go out of Asheville, then you can get it shipped to you, which is always great. Don't have to leave your door.
Is the shipping, does that, regardless of state, or is that dependent upon state? That
So
you're
there
in?
are some states that won't allow you, but we ship to most states. You'd have to, if you go on our website, we can be able to tell you if your state is eligible or not. But for North Carolina, law is where it's most, which is awesome.
And when is the jelly donut one available? That one I got.
So that is already done and gone. So we might make it again. That one cost us more to make it than we were able to get from selling it. So that's just the nature of the beast when it comes to these pieces.
Yeah, you had me at jelly donut.
It looks like your 10W40 is your highest rated beer on Untapped. And what's your favorite beer?
So, like I said, my favorite beer would either be our lager, just because I'm super traditional. But if I'm out drinking with friends, I love a sessionable like IPA, something where it's like I can enjoy the hops without my, you know, getting punched in the face with the hops. Because sometimes these IPAs can get a little much. So having something that's easy drinking, sessionable, crushable, but still with some good flavor is what I typically go for.
How's that Black Pills?
The
What
Black
was that,
Pills.
Russell?
How's that Black Pills?
So I haven't even got to try it yet. It hasn't shipped to my state. I'm very Highwire, like I said, they do like lagers correctly. So anytime they do a kind of a specialty lager like that, like a Black Pills, or we've done Dortmunders and Doppelbock, all those always turn out great. And it's always like a Black Pills where you see the color and you expect it to be dark and you know, creamy and chocolatey, and then it turns out to taste like a Pilsner or a lager. There's always a fun twist in the mind.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much, Emily. We'll be back for beer number 4 here in just a second. Where's my share? There it is. All right. So one of the things that is really, really cool about this is the ability to import external storage, or what we know from the EMC days as non-disruptive migrations. So currently today, PowerStore can import from the PS series, the Compellent series, Unity, VNX2, and Extreme IO. And I believe the Extreme IO was just added not too long ago with, I believe it was SP3 that it came out. So there is a full-blown process to do that. And I'm actually going to be working on that in my lab here in the next week or so to on our Unity system. But this gives you the ability to migrate from older systems into this system without taking an outage. All right. So one of the cool things that I like to spend some time on is the hardware tab. And this is, it lists all your appliance down there. And this is where you would also add an appliance. As you can tell here, one of the things for those that maybe come from an EMC background is we're tracking this through the service tag versus the serial number. But if we go into the appliance and ports. One thing to look at is what we see now is node A and node B. For those Unity, it would be very similar to SPA and SPB. If we go into here, in the wrong direction. If we go into here and we can actually look at the rear view, we can get information from, we're looking at SPA or node A, my apologies. Or we can also look at node B. And in here, if there is an alert for a hardware situation, it would be highlighted in yellow or something of that nature to let us know that that component has an issue. So if we kind of look at this, it really does look awful familiar for those of us that come from the Unity world. We have our power supplies, and then we have our modules or IP based, and then we also have our modules for fiber channel. So notice that we also have, this one has 25 gig capability and 16 gig capable, or excuse me, 32 gig capable. And this is also where we can actually go in and take a look at the performance of the FAs and fiber channel and see how they're doing. And so we can actually go in here and look at the various hardware components and get a good look. We can take a look at the drives. And here is 0 through 20 are all NVMe drives on our base enclosure. And then 21 through 24 are our NVM or NVRAM slots, and that is where what we know is vaulting and writes come through in the system. So if there's a failure, it's going to send the data down to here as the thing kind of goes into self-protection mode. And then we can also inside of here take a look at the internal view, and we can look at the internal components of the system and kind of click around and see what each of them do, the part numbers and things of that nature. Very, very informative. Is there any questions over the hardware piece before I go into the settings tab? Okay. So settings is where we kind of go in to do some administrative activities from our upgrades. And basically the process to upgrade is very, very simple. We go to the support.dell.com and we go to the PowerStore section, find our model, and we can download the package onto our system or server. And then we simply click on the upload package and we can go and get it. And what will happen is it will upload it into the system and a health check will be performed. Once the health check clears itself, then we can do the upgrade. And then once the upgrade is completed on both nodes, the system is ready to rock and roll again. Very simple and user-friendly. And you can also schedule your upgrades with support. They'll come in and they'll do the upgrades for you, health checks prior, just like we see with the other arrays as well. One of the neat things about PowerStore as well is that there is no licensing. It is there, everything is, there is no special licensing for any component or anything of that nature. Inside the cluster, we can power down the cluster. I'm not going to do it during the demo, probably wouldn't be a good idea. In case of anything, you have that opportunity. Obviously, before you do it, you have to put in credentials in order to do it. Security, we have all of our certifications and everything here. Encryption, we can download and store our encryption keys, and it's on by default. Our audit logs, if you want to enable or disable chat between the host and the cluster. Then and then this one is where we can enable or disable SSH access, like PuTTY or whatever your tool of choice is, in order to go in and into the system. Next, we have our networking area, which is where under MTU we can set up jumbo frames for iSCSI or our file systems. And here's where our network IPs are, any infrastructure services, physical switches that it is a part of, or anything of that nature. And then here's the SMTP server information for setting up email alerting to storage admins or anybody. I'm going to spend a little bit of time here. This is the Support Assist, which is the Dell tool for, much like ESRS or SRS, what it's known as today, but this is actually built into the system, and you can set it up and it'll communicate back and forth to Dell support and send its daily, every other day activities really, and send support material and things of that nature to Cloud IQ. As you can see right here, there's a checkbox. And here is the service account for getting in and special access in order to perform any like CE duties or things of that nature. Then your support materials, which is your log collection and things like that. You can see here where it lets me know when it's successfully uploaded its support, as well as I can start collections on the fly. And then also, as we were kind of used to seeing, is the general support quick hits for support forms, product protocols into support site. We can open up tickets and things of that nature for our PowerStore. The other feature that I like here is the disabling of support notifications. So if I know that I'm doing something on the system, that I may be rebooting a node or I'm doing an upgrade, I can disable support notifications for that period so that I don't get the 3 a.m. Email or call from support going, hey, we can't contact your PowerStore. So you can disable it temporarily during your maintenance cycles, and you can set it to you can set it to number of hours and be able to disable that for that period of time. Next, we have our user area. And so it now has LDAP capabilities, so you can put it into LDAP and be able to set up your role-based based on your LDAP security. Or you can also do local so that you can just set up the administrators and things of that nature. And then finally, directory services for things of that nature. And then also your email S&P deliveries and things of that nature for your folks. So is there any questions over the migration or hardware portion? Okay. So Emily, if you would like to come back for our fourth beer, that'd be fantastic.
Alrighty, last but not least. So this is another specialty series that we're doing. So it's our sour smoothie series. This one that I sent you is tangerine, peach, and passion fruit. And like I said earlier, we always use real fruit. So this is not an extract. This is real fruit. If you're allergic to anything, don't drink it. I've had that happen before. So it's proof that we've actually used the real stuff. So this is a tart wheat ale, 5.5%. We also added not only just the fruit, but the lactose So the lactose is a type of sugar that's derived from milk, and that actually creates this creaminess in the beer itself. So, which is why we call it the sour smoothie series, as it almost has that kind of smoothie-like body to it. What I really like about this is that whenever you use the real fruits, you're going to have a balance to how tart and how sour the beer is going to get. So even though it is a sour beer, it's not like so over the top to where you drink a 5-ounce pour and you're ready to crack open some Tums. So this one 4-pack, 16-ounce 4-packs. Like I said, we're always, just like the dark berry jam wow, we're always changing the fruits added to it. So currently it's this tangerine peach passion fruit, but later on we're going to be doing like a blackberry cobbler version. We've done a tangerine hibiscus. So it's all kind of just something for the brewers to play around with. With the amount of high pitch that they have to make for me, it's kind of nice to be able to give them some series to where they can kind of play around with the flavor and profiles of different stuff. Jeremy, are you a sour drinker?
Trying to be.
Trying to be? Yeah, just
Yeah,
like
I'm
IPA.
not huge on it yet, but I'm a big IPA fan, but I'm not sure about the sours yet.
Well, if you're trying to get into it, this one, like I said, since it's not like so over the top, it's great for kind of an entry level, trying to step your feet into the sour pool.
I like it. It's good.
I will say that my ears perked up when you said blackberry cobbler. I've never been able to turn down cobbler, so.
Yeah, that could be outstanding.
I grew up down south, and blackberry was one of the greatest things next to muscadine. So I will definitely have to peruse that when she comes out.
Listen, I'm going to tell you that I think this is probably one of the better sour beers that I've had. And this is like a good summer beer selection. Far less offensive than like a gauche, like a watermelon gauche. This is way better. So there's my endorsement for that. I don't like sour beers.
Well, good. See, honestly, everyone says that they don't usually enjoy a particular style, but they like this one. That is that's the sign off that I need. I appreciate it.
It just needs to be about 93 degrees outside, and then this makes sense.
Just crank that heat up if you're inside.
So you can put on your website that you have the Mike Trojan seal of approval.
Well, I'm going to drink it, so I probably don't advise this, but if you have a data center with a bunch of ENXs like we do and stuff, you could probably experience 93 degrees.
Well played, sir. Well played.
You know I'm right.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like us. If we put this kind of storage in there, you're going to need a beer like this.
Mike, we need to talk, buddy.
With proper AC too.
So, Mike, are you talking about the reduced power consumption of all flash products like PowerStore?
Of course I am. Yes, absolutely. Those run
That's what I thought.
Cool. I will say the NX, they actually run pretty cool compared to, we recently put in a VDI, which we had to upgrade our power supply to them and just to the UPCs. But that, I'll tell you, it's like Florida in our data center right now.
I just rip all of Linux out and put in some PowerStore. It might help you out a little bit.
We need to talk, Mike.
Yeah, we're definitely looking at some storage options for our SAN mostly because we put the VDI in, and we'll need to expand our storage in order to save student profiles and things. Currently we don't have a way to create living profiles for students who log into the VDI because we just don't have storage. It definitely this calls pretty relevant for us. So John McCain and things are already talking with us about it.
Okay. All right. Emily, anything else, ma'am?
No, just appreciate y'all letting me come on and talk beer a bit. With the pandemic and everything, I haven't been able to talk to other people about beer as much, and so it's nice to be able to actually have that conversation.
I know I'm really excited because I did some looking when you were talking, and My local Giant Eagle 2 miles from my house has got high wire beer, so I know where I'm going when I leave here.
Awesome.
I thought I saw it too. John, I thought I saw an art of John Eagle, so I'm gonna go pick up some as well.
Yeah, write in the chat like the states that we're in. So if anybody is traveling or in that, that way you can be able to look it up. And if you're not, like I said,
Emily, if you wouldn't mind, I know I've seen a few where people haven't got their beer yet, thanks to UPS. If you could put the order of beer into the chat, that would be fantastic.
yeah, absolutely.
All right. All right, guys. So Emily, thank you so much for joining us today. The beer has been fantastic. Tori, you haven't found a bad brewer yet, so impressive. So what we wanted to finish up with today is showing you guys a little bit of Cloud IQ. Cloud IQ has been around for a couple of good years now. And it is a great way to be able to get not only your partner team access into your data, or into your arrays, I guess is a better term, but also up into EMC or Dell EMC so that they have some performance stuff. So what I want to do here is log into my Cloud IQ account so that you guys can kind of see what it is we see and performance-wise and looking at arrays and things of that nature. Let me just float out here. How many customers out here have or use Cloud IQ?
What is it?
Just let me know. All right. So I'm going to share here. And the cool thing about Cloud IQ is you can, website cloudiq.emc.com. You can use the app on your phone and things like that and look at your array and things of that nature. So again, this is Cloud IQ. And this shows me right now that we have 4 connected. Everything is in good health order. There's no arrays approaching in full capacity. So I can go in here and look at my connected. And I can see here that I've got a power scale. I've got the IQ or Cloud IQ collector, our Unity XT480F, and also our PowerStore. So I can go in here and I can look at our PowerStore, and I can see here that it's 100% healthy. I can go in and take a look at any health scores over the last month or so, any issues that we've had. I can go in here to configuration, and I can see that my service tag for management or anything of that nature with support. I can see what code level I'm on, what day it was, what day it was released. I can look at the IP of the cluster, where it's located, and I can also look at, my contract end dates and things of that nature. So I can go in here and take a look at capacity as well, and I can see that I have 57 terabytes. I'm currently at 3.4 to 1. Again, guys, that's just because of the data I'm running for this demo. And then I can go in here and I can look at performance. I can see latency, IOPS, bandwidth, and I can go in here and look at all metrics. And here's where I can really kind of dig deeper a little bit and kind of see what's going on for, last hour. I can look at different metrics for the product, for PowerStore, and go and customize things and things of this nature. And this is where, for a lot of my customers, I spend a lot of time in this, looking over their systems in the morning to see if there's any issues at night. And again, I'm just looking at performance data. I'm looking at the array, no access to any data. But it really kind of helps us out, not only us, but I can, back in the day when I was a storage admin, being able, everybody's got that call in the middle of the night, or I was out somewhere with family and, I get an alert on my phone, go and check the app and boom, I can look and go, yeah, I'm not seeing this latency anywhere on my system. It looks like it might be an OS issue. But does anybody kind of looked or used Cloud IQ?
Jeremy, I mean, I think one of the cool things about this that a lot of folks don't notice is you can actually put most of Dell's products in here, whether it be VxRail or Isilon or Cloud IQ. I'm sorry, PowerScale, PowerStore. And the other thing is, I mean, this is actually a lot of analytics, and you can get a lot of this stuff on your phone too. So one of the things that's really important is being able to get those health scores, without necessarily having to VPN in or get on your laptop or whatever else. And, you can see this across multiple products. It's a really, really neat thing. And I don't necessarily know that a lot of folks know about it as, it's relatively new, but for the last couple of years, it's really rolled out to pretty much every one of these products. The other thing that's also, the other thing you can do too, and this is something that I started doing recently, is you guys can share, you can actually make Jeremy or myself or folks from Dell trusted advisors, and you can actually expose some of this information, to your team. And, we can actually help with, be aware of incidents that happen. The health store goes down. We could say, hey, it's something maybe you should take a look at. This is not just hardware help. This is also configuration help. So in case, something happens with the configuration, and then maybe the AI in here predicts maybe the potential problem because of a config change, we can have a conversation about that. And then we can actually be notified as well. So it's kind of a cool thing the way that works.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I use it every morning. The first thing I do, besides grabbing my cup of coffee, taking my meds, I come in here, I look over my customer's environment, see if there's anything that stands out. I collect reports, and it's really, really, really cool. And there's been a couple of times where customers called me, and they had an issue, and I was out and about, and I just pulled up my phone and I checked out their system, and looked and see if there was anything noticeable. So it's really cool feature. I think it's really more from the, be honest, it's more from the engineering and administrator side of the house, but it's very cool. So with that, I just want to kind of leave the last 15 minutes or so that we have here and open it up to general questions, comments, and see what you all have to say. If we want to talk beer, we can talk beer. Feel free to unmute or whatever. Yes, sir.
Quick comment. I'm seeing Jason answer a lot of questions or saying good comment and stuff, but we're not necessarily seeing what's typed into the chat, because they're going to all panelists instead of all panelists and attendees. So I don't know if we can review some of those or if you're keeping track of them.
So one of the
Russ,
questions,
you're not seeing the chat responses?
I'm seeing you say like, great question, Cody, but I'm
Hey,
not seeing
Jason, I
Cody's
think the
question.
questions maybe we're going to the panelists instead of the attendees as well.
right?
Yeah.
So one of the questions that came up was, is there an API? And yes, there is API availability. And so, yeah, Russell, I apologize. Some of the questions were going straight to the panelist or straight back to the user. So apologize for that.
Yeah. No worries. It's just something I'd throw out there for, if not
appreciate it.
clearing up this one, future ones. Zoom is a pain. We've all been in Zoom for the past year.
I hear you, Russ. I would much rather be up there visiting you guys than sitting here at my house, honestly.
So,
You should
Is
try
there-
Microsoft Teams sometime.
I got, Mike
yeah,
and Russell, you guys, it's funny because we access a lot of them from this is Ring Central. You've got Zoom, you've got WebEx, and each of them have their own little nits and quirks. And sometimes we, forget about things. I have to find where the share screen is and things of that nature. So I guess that's the cross we bear.
Funny how Ring Central looks an awful lot like Zoom.
Well, what it is Ring Central is actually separated, except that it uses the entry piece for Zoom, so they both use each other's apps. It's pretty much the same, but they are two separate companies.
Yeah. So now I've got another app installed.
We all need more apps. So is there any questions over anything that we covered today, or any questions you guys have over PowerStore, Cloud IQ, or anything of that nature?
On the PowerStore, my situation here is I've got 6 HP DL380s. They're running VMware. And each server is its own little island. I'm not using SAN. It's what I got when I took the job 6 weeks ago.
Well, congratulations on the new gig.
Yeah, but I'm definitely having a lot of things to catch up on. I just did a quick look. We've got 96 cores, 36 terabytes, and a terabyte of RAM between 6. That might be a bit overkill for what we need. Where would we even start as far as like looking at one of these? Because here's my issue with the way we're set up right now.
Mm-hmm.
I went in the server room, turned off the light, and did an amber light check, and I have an amber light on my bottom server. So turn the lights back on. I go to pull the server out. Oh, did I tell you there's no cable management? So when I pull the server out, what happens? Shuts down.
Yeah.
Crap, it's running our ERP system. Wish I would have known that.
So you fixed the amber light issue.
Yeah. Oh.
Probably due for a reboot too, as well.
It probably was, but there's no way. If we were running something like this, and that happened, nobody would have been the wiser, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And it's just frustrating. It's like, why?
Well, here's the thing: is there's some great tools out there, especially for vSphere. It's called Live Optics. Optical.
I'm running that right now. I'll have a 7-day run done.
Great.
Tomorrow.
That's fantastic. And so we can take that Live Optics or Optical Prime data and take that and put it into the sizer and come up with a solution for you. Whether we find that PowerStore is the right fit, VX Rail. There's many different ways. From animal lovers, I apologize, but there's more than one way to skin kitties. And so, you're absolutely right, though, is that, I've been at many customer sites where, somebody was messing with cable management and that guy went out and goes, what are you doing? He's got a cable in his hand, right? Like, well, he disconnected my server. It happens. But, the thing with this is that, there's no single point of failure, and that's huge. And in today's world, every second counts. Things have changed quite a bit.
We haven't had email for the last 24 hours.
That could be a good thing and a bad thing all the same time.
Well, it was kind of a good thing, but it was because of the zero-day exploits that Microsoft released on the 2nd of March.
It was what?
Those zero-day exploits that Microsoft.
0 day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're having a great week.
I love my job.
It's a good thing you're at a beer tasting, right?
Well, I don't have.
That's right.
I'm at work still, so I don't have the beer here, but I've got all 4 pints waiting for me when I get home.
Right.
Well, now you know the order you need to partake in.
No, I don't. I'm going for the 9% right as soon as I get home.
Go big or
I
go
don't blame
home.
Right.
That's right.
So to your point on where you can start on size, and 100% agree with Jeremy. Let Live Optics point the way to the correct solution. That said, and I'll put that in chat too. That said, we do have a really a smaller PowerStore unit that'll be announced in the next, I think, 3 weeks that it'll go live. So we do have something coming that is going to go down the number of terabytes, and it's going to be on a different form factor. It will be the only one that'll be on a different form factor, but it'll have all the software integration that Jeremy and team have talked about.
We'll have an X version.
It'll be a T version to come out with. Here's the issue with X, that because it's going to be for the the smaller terabyte size, but then it's going to also have a smaller controller. They don't want, right in the first version, they're not going to have the X version because of the split. You just don't want to give 50% of the controller to the to VMware, to the VMware side. So it's really going to be pointed at the T version for exactly what was just discussed. Hey, you need an entry level, you need a really good cost entry model, but you still want all the feature functionality that a PowerStore is going to bring you with the containerized operating system and everything Jeremy talked about.
Can I still run VMware on that?
No.
Okay.
You can run, it would be just a traditional storage appliance. You
Right,
can't run
right.
it directly embedded on.
Yeah.
Correct. You can run VMware on all your hosts, absolutely. But what Jeremy was talking about with the X version, you are actually running VMware on the storage array.
Right.
And that is a different question. So you would probably look at a 1000X if you wanted to run the applications and have a full-blown, a storage array.
Okay.
Jeff, feel free to reach out to me tomorrow. I sent you my contact info in the chat session, and more than happy to chat further with you, and we can discuss, especially considering where you're at, because not a good place to be in, and I think many of us can say that we've been there, done that, and more than happy to have those discussions with you if there's any questions you have further.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I finally got my dream job.
Yep.
But the guy I replaced, I'm in manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy I replaced, his wife is in IT for Eaton Power Systems. And he knows IT, but he's their quality assurance manager. So he did QA and IT. I'm like, how the hell, so he did stuff well enough to make it work, but
Battery, hi.
never the best practices way.
Yeah. So yeah, reach out to me tomorrow. I'm more than happy to have a conversation.
Sure.
Cool. I sent you my email address in the chat session.
Hey, Jeremy, hey, it's Dave.
Hey Dave, how you doing, buddy?
No, a great job. Yeah, I joined a few minutes late, had a conflict there. Did you touch on the data guaranteed by chance?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I don't want to rehash that, but yeah, definitely we do stand behind the, with Dell Technologies, obviously, but we do stand behind a 4-to-1 data guarantee on that. So obviously it'll exclude, anything that's pre-compressed or encrypted or things like images, but if you're not getting 4-to-1, we guarantee it. We'll take care of it. So,
what do you mean? I remember seeing that, but
so 4-to-1 guarantee is this: as long as the data is dedupable and compressible, which being that you have VMware, that's pretty much a guarantee. The PowerStore will do 4-to-1.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if
So for every 4 terabytes that you ingest into it, it's only happened to use 1 terabyte. So if you have a 1 terabyte usable system, you have 400 terabytes of effective capacity. Does that make sense, Jeff?
Yeah, you know what? Okay, I remember seeing this just before I started here. I was working for a small MSP, and we used a Dell PowerStore, I think is what it was. It was a Dell system like this for a local city government. And I do remember that being touted. Okay. Oh, well, yes, I've got 36 terabytes, but that's total. And
Yeah, you would need 9.
yeah. Well, my 36, I'm not even using all of it, right?
Right.
You may be able to use less then.
Yeah.
Right. So basically what you'd be looking at is, these things can start out as small as 6 drives. Right. So if you look, say like you have 6 1.92 drives, right? That may be, you calculate 1.92 and, it may come out to, like 4 terabytes, whatever, of usable capacity, but you times that by 4 and you get 16 effective. And so depending, that's what that live optics is about, is that we can take the live optics information, put it into Sizer, and we can build you a system based on your requirements for you to meet your needs and use it for not only, and include growth. So, again, reach out to me tomorrow. I'll call you back up and we can chat.
Absolutely. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. All right. I'm doing that.
Right.
Very cool. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions from everybody? Again, we love the questions. We love the discussions. That's what we're here for. So
what was everybody's favorite beer?
Probably my next one. But that's me, David. You know me.
Anyone that's cold?
It doesn't need to be cold anymore.
Free beer.
Yeah, free beer is the best. So, guys, I appreciate everybody
jam,
joining today. Go ahead, Russell.
I said after the dark berry jam, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I skipped that one, Russ. I wouldn't even be able to speak if I had drank that one by now.
I will say that when I got the order yesterday, I set that one and what was the last one? What was the last one, Jason?
The sour smoothie.
Sour?
Yeah. I kind of left those in the fridge and I pulled out the IDPAs and I said, honey, I told my wife, I said, these are yours. But after a couple of comments around the black cherry, I may have to pull that out tonight. And,
So Jeremy, this one here is legit. This is legit. Yeah. This sour smoothie, that's really, really good. The IPA is really good too.
The dark berry jam is good.
Okay, I'll give it a shot because when I got it yesterday, I'm sitting here looking at the 4 beers and I'm like, I don't know how this is going to go tomorrow, but it proves to you that they're I've done about 3 or 4 of these, and I'm amazed by the beer that's out there. Is that there's a lot of really, really good beers out on the market that if I was just at a grocery store kind of making my own 6-pack, I wouldn't have selected. And so I may have to renege on my promise to my wife, but don't let her know that.
I haven't had the berry yet, but the berry one sort of makes me want to make it a Boilermaker.
So
it's not.
It might be interesting. It might be interesting.
So is there any other questions around PowerStore, Cloud IQ, or anything? Love to just sit and chat with you guys.
Jeremy, there was one thing I saw in the chat, but I don't know if I saw Jason answer. Replication or any type of site-to-site failover at the power stores?
So there is enhancement. It is on the roadmap, and Mike or Dave, feel free to chime in. Currently, right now, PowerStore on itself is async replication. However, there is a Metro node that is available to do Metro style, much like the Power Max and things like that, to do, as long as you're in Metro distance, that can do Metro replication.
Synchronous. It's based on, the 30 years of EMC's technology that every big bank in the world uses it. But what we did is that they downscaled it, kept all the feature functionality, put it into, I think it's a 2U form factor, offloads all of the processing with zero impact to the PowerStore, and tuned it for the PowerStore, and then brought the cost down to, I won't say nothing, but when you look at the capability versus what you pay for that type of capability in high-end storage, it's almost nothing. I think it's 10 grand for the pair. And so you get full Metro, you have no impact to your PowerStore, and you get literally synchronous replication.
So if I could summarize that, basically async is available today. There'll be further enhancements on that. We're talking about with the Metro is a synchronous active solution, kind of based on our Vplex technology, if those are familiar with that. And then file replication is due, I think, end of the year, maybe beginning of next year somewhere. It's about 9 months, sorry, out. So.
Right. But to David, to your point, we're still going to keep our Metro nodes available because because it's a solution that you can now go PowerStore synchronous to other platforms. It's platform independent, and that solution has been used for years and years and years, and has millions of runtime hours. So I think there's both. Some folks will want to use the processing power of the PowerStore, and some will want the appliance. So we will continue with both.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. Any other questions before we kind of close down, let you guys get to the opening round of the NCAA tournament?
ILL.
What was that, Jeff?
No, it was CUDA. Illinois. My alum, I only get once every, 10 to 15 years where I could be proud of them in sports. Yeah. So this is 1 year I can be proud.
You're talking to a Buckeye football fan, and well, never mind.
Well, but we're not talking football. We're talking basketball. Number 2.
All right. You gave my Buckeyes a run for their money in the championship, so I'll let you have it. My son picked them to win it all. So, hey, I just want to thank everyone for joining today. Hopefully you had a great time, learned something a little bit about PowerStore. And if you have any questions or want to dig deeper, hey, feel free to reach out to Jason and myself or your Advizex team, and we're here to help you out. So look forward to hearing from you guys. Otherwise, have a great evening. Be safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thanks, everybody.
See you guys.
See you guys.
Talk to you later, Jason.